Now, this test match not only signals the end of a memorable Ashes summer, but also the final time that Test Match Special will be broadcast on Radio 4 Longwave. So as of next year, of course, you'll be able to keep listening, as you can already, on 5 Sports Extra, BBC Sounds. You can go via the BBC Sport website and the app, and also on smart speaker. And so, with Radio 4 Longwave itself saying goodbye, we'll also wave farewell to a regular and very popular interruption.
Commentary continues on
Sports Extra,
BBC Songs,
and via the ABC in Australia. But
Radio 4 Longwave listeners
are leaving us briefly
for
that shipping forecast.
Yes. This is the final game where we head to that mysterious world of German bite Dogger and the rest of it. And Jim Maxwell sitting alongside me. I know it's a great sadness, and in fact you're looking at something that's arrived in the post today.
Everyone loves the shipping forecast, it would seem, particularly Joe Yates, who has sent me this cover for a cushion
Very
that
nice.
she has made. She's a textile artist who lives in York, and two of her very favourite things are TMS and the shipping forecast. And she sent me a gift, which I'm keen to take home, of course. She says she designed and hand-stitched 2 original pieces of art based on the often used shipping forecast phrases. And then she had them scanned and printed onto cards and fabric and used the latter to run up a cushion cover for me. So she says, enjoy the last match of the series. Thanks for TMS and another fabulous summer of commentary. So it's a very attractive thing which has written on it, moderate or good, occasionally poor.
Sounds like my commentary.
Well, it sounds a bit like some of the cricket, but it's mainly been a bit more.
You've had a
edgy
tea
than
towel in the past too, I think, haven't you? Over the years ago.
It's in my bag. If
you still
Henry
got
just
it?
looks around in my lovely pound bag over there, have you seen this?
Well, I'm sure
It's a
remember-
lovely thing.
That is an actual map.
Yes.
On a tea towel of these mysterious places that we hear about twice a day. There they are. So we now know where Dogger is. It's just Skegness by the look of it. Just out to sea. All right. Well, it is, I know, a sadness to you. We've also heard from Carlos Brathwaite
Yes.
just then, another commentator, somewhat infatuated with the shipping forecast. And while playing at Warwickshire, Carlos learned of a story about a member at Edgbaston who'd recently passed away, and he wanted Carlos's version of the shipping forecast to play a part in his funeral.
got word that a long-time Warwickshire member and fan listened to the shipping forecast, had it recorded, and unknown to persons at the funeral, had someone play it during the funeral, and everyone was bemused, and they said that is the character of the man, that is something he'd definitely do. But it was touching because it was an innocent moment, just following along with Radio 4 Longwave listeners, and being a bit inquisitive, leading to reading the shipping forecast, and then to know that it had the impact that it did, that someone would want to leave a lasting memory of the funeral, was quite touching. The family were really good about it. Remember meeting, I think it was the sons, and got them some tickets, and just want to give them a shout out as well for obviously letting me know the impact that it had, and just goes to show a little can go a long way. So may he rest in peace. But that was probably one of the more touching moments I've had in my short commentary career so far.
Well, that's a remarkable story. Carlos Brathwaite. Now, it is worth pointing out that the shipping forecast itself is going nowhere. You'll still be able to hear it on Radio 4 FM twice a day, 3 a day on weekends, as well as on BBC Sounds. And the Coast Guard itself will continue to broadcast the service to those on the high seas. Let's find out some more about this institution with 2 people who know far more about it than I do. From the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency is Andrew Colnut, and the head of meteorology and hydrography is Matt Pavitt, one of the area commanders for the HM Coast Guard. Lovely to have you both with us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jonathan.
Great. Good to have you with us. I'm not sure if that was Matt or Andrew, but let's kick off with Matt first of all then. So for those who are not in the know, I mean, what actually is what is the shipping forecast and why do we need it? Nope, that must have been Andrew who I heard the voice of then. So Matt, can you answer that question, Andrew?
Hi, yes, this is Andrew. Yes, so the shipping forecast is one of a number of forecasts and warnings that the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency produce or are produced by the Met Office on behalf of ourselves as part of our Marine Weather Service. We want to make sure that we are providing all the maritime safety information available to all the mariners, so we can make sure that they are receiving all the navigation warnings and the weather warnings to make sure that they are sort of travelling safely, or even planning their passages carefully, or possibly not even attempting to go out if the weather is going to be absolutely awful. So it's one of the key marine weather sections that we broadcast in order to sort of meet our SOLAS, the safety of life at sea obligations on behalf of the UK.
Right. Matt, you're on there with us, I think, aren't you?
I am indeed. I'm back now.
There you go. Great to have you with us. I mean, how long has this been going for?
Well, I mean, it goes right back to several hundred years. There's been some form of availability. Right back 1850, a guy called Robert Fitzroy, he started it. So it's been around in a format, and obviously I can't tell you when the BBC got involved, but it's certainly way before my time.
Well, I'm looking at Jim's map on his tea towel, and some of these places are. I mean, they are quite. They're well out to sea. I mean, does the BBC and Longwave actually reach out to Rockall and German Bight and so on? Can you pick up Longwave out there?
Yeah, I've sailed down across the Bay of Biscay, listening to it down there, and some of them have been changed over the years. The names have changed a bit. But yeah, you can get it right down across the Bay of Biscay, absolutely no problem, sort of loud and clear, listening to the cricket, sailing across the Bay of Biscay, listening to the weather and the cricket. What more do you need?
Perfect. It's a perfect combination. And there is, I mean, Andrew, there is something romantic about, I don't know, Test match special linking up with the shipping forecast. It's just a silly old tradition as far as we're concerned. It can interrupt some fairly important passages of play. I know that producers sitting behind me have been sweating on, oh no, the last wicket this Test match is going to fall at 4 minutes to whatever the hour is. That's going to be the shipping forecast. What are we going to do? I mean, are people literally hanging on to this and waiting for that precise moment that the shipping forecast comes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shipping forecast and Test match special are both sort of icons of in the BBC psychology, really, and they're intricately dovetailed. And unfortunately, when the bad weather does arrive, then sometimes it interrupts the cricket coverage, unfortunately.
There's some great names. Jim, what's your favourite name out of all these? If you had to pick,
German Bight.
You like German Bight? Okay, so that's over there. Yeah, well, it's near Germany, I suppose. It's obvious, that one, isn't it? Or is it? Yes, it is kind of northwest Germany. I've always wondered where North at Sierra and South at Sierra is, and I can see them on the tea towel. Where do they come from, Matt or Andrew? Where does that name come from?
At Sierra is a tiny island just off of the Norway coast, and the areas are split. Sort of half the island is in North Sierra, and the other half is in the other one. But it's a very tiny island. But the weather in that area is sort of particularly interesting, so it needs their own sort of area to define those regions. But yeah, a lot of the areas have changed their names or changed area, or, the size of the area, over the years. So at the moment we've got 31 shipping forecast areas, Longwave covers all of those. But of course, the coverage on Longwave will end at the end of this calendar year. But as you said, it will be still available via the Coast Guard, broadcasting on their channels and also on FM and BBC Sounds.
Yeah. So, I mean, north at Tyre, south at Tyre, there's an island there. Rockall suggests there's not very much out there. How does that get the name?
There is a small pinnacle that is above the surface, which is called Rockall, and in order for that to be classed as part of the UK, somebody had to basically sleep on it or stay on there for a certain number of hours, which they did, and it's classed as part of the UK. So our territorial waters extend that far out. So Rockall is named after this tiny little rock pinnacle, out in the Atlantic.
Okay. You learn something. You have a dogger. What's the history of dogger?
Well, that's a very shallow area of the North Sea. It's probably anything, maybe only 20 metres deep in places.
Wow.
And it was when in times gone by, when the UK was still connected to Europe by land before the sea levels rose, that area was very important for as a living place and for hunting. So it's a very shallow area that has only recently been sort of drowned by the sea over the last 8,000 years or so. But it's considering how far offshore it is, it's still very shallow.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because I, as you may or may not know, I'm a very amateur pilot, so I'm used to metas and taffs, and I am surprised that people still take to our high seas, if indeed they do, relying on something like the shipping forecast. You'd think it'd be much more up to date and modernised than that, and they've got all the computerised weather forecasts and stuff coming. Is that really not the case?
Well, sorry, go on, Matt.
Andrew, you go for that one, Andrew.
I mean, I was going to say we deal with people who they've got all the technology and all the various fancy ways of getting weather forecasts. I grew up in the southwest of Cornwall in a small fishing village, and the guys down there, they wouldn't dream of going and making a decision whether they go and fishing without listening to it, and that continues to this day. I'm sat here now, right up on top of the White Cliffs of Dover, looking across the English Channel. There's decisions being made about sailing and racing tonight based on the shipping forecast at lunchtime. So
wow.
It's very much still being used day in, day out.
That's remarkable. Look, thanks to you two very much indeed. It's been very much part of our lives. Andrew Cole and also Matt Pavitt. If you want another treat from BBC Sounds, by the way, I can recommend The Sleeping Forecast. Now, this is a wonderful collection of episodes with soothing music and gentle conversation that helps you drift off at night. And one of these features Nish Kumar. He's reading famous cricket scorecards. Now, here's a little taster.
Chris Wokes, 7 overs, 1 maiden, no wickets for 19 runs. Joe Root, 9 overs, 1 maiden, 2 wickets for 26 runs. I'm Nish Kumar, and so concludes this sleeping forecast.
Well, I have to be honest, Jim, I've not come across that. I mean, you could actually read out one of Geoffrey Boycott's scorecards, couldn't you? That would probably send you to sleep anyway without all of that. But there you are. That is the sleeping forecast.
You didn't realise how soporific you were as a broadcaster.
Well, there you go. You've got... Come on, give us a taste of some of your favourites on here.
Here we go. Viking northeast 40s. Variable 2 to 4. Slight or moderate. Showers, fog patches in Viking. Moderate or good. Occasionally, very poor in Viking.
That'll be a visibility, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So you can't see where you're going.
Here's one down here. I have to have this one. German bite. Humber. Variable 2 to 4. Slight, occasionally moderate at first. Occasional rain. Fog patches for a time. Moderate or good. Occasionally, very poor.
Very poor. That's when it comes in, doesn't it?
Occasionally very poor.
The drizzle comes in, you can't see anything. Well, there you go.
That's Manchester for you, yes.
Well, we've learnt a lot about the shipping forecast. Thanks to those two for coming on. So this is the last test match in which the shipping forecast will feature, which is... It's sad, I must say, 30-odd years of doing it, and so the shipping forecast threatened to come in at crucial times in a game. I know Peter Baxter and Adam Mountford, our producers, have thought at times, oh no, what are we going to do? They're a little bit flexible with it. It can be moved a few minutes here or there, but only later. You can't bring it forward. That brings because people might miss it. But people hang on.
Wasn't it a longer version originally? It seems to have been trimmed up a bit.
I think, to be honest, they read it a bit more quickly these days.
Oh, right.
Cricket's exciting.
A bit like reading the soccer scores.
Exactly. Cheers, Jim. There we go. And thanks for all the memories of the shipping forecast.